supplies a mat. And let me see what I'm here. And together we're there's an exciting topic to share with you.
As attendees of the Hand-Eye Supply Curiosity Club, you are all now members, provided you adhere to our philosophy. Ex curiositas scientia. We pledge to learn without prejudice in pursuit of our mutual goal, perpetual noviceship. We admit that it is impossible to know everything about anything, and thus we remain perpetually curious and perpetually novice.
Awesome. Thank you. This is our flag and mascot, Franklin. The lightning bolt represents the receipt of knowledge and light of illumination, the resonance of truth understood. It awakens us and excites us and makes us hungrier for more. Curiosity Club is made merry by fellow artisans over in Astoria, Oregon, Fort George Brewery. Cheers, everybody.
All right, let's give a warm Curiosity Club welcome to Laurie Gold and Darrell Pope Jr. of Sweet Science Boxer Gym.
So, boxing and beer, two of our favorite things, right? We're going to keep this kind of casual because I've been doing this for a long time and I can talk ad nauseum about my business, the sport, etc. So maybe I'll start with maybe some connections here. Will, wherever he is, Will has actually been to one of our sparring events in the past, and our sparring events occur maybe once or twice a year, and they've become so popular that last month, 10/7/17, look at the t-shirt, we had like 200 people in a 1,700 square foot space. So our gym has become pretty popular just based on organic growth, word of mouth, and just kind of encouraging a super fun, casual, relaxed environment. So we're going to talk a little bit about maybe the history of the gym, the history of boxing, from my perspective, Darrell's perspective, how we got into it, and how we got involved in Sweet Science Boxing as it is today. So I will start with my portion. My name is Laurie Gold. Everybody calls me LG because I was blessed with a name that nobody seems to be able to pronounce, unless you live in Ireland, and everybody in Ireland got my name right when I was there this summer. But I go by LG. This is Darrell. He's been on staff for about 5 years with us. Kind of came in as a new student and brought a great perspective to our gym, youthfulness, and great ideas from his past. So we have a good team here. He's one of 6 trainers, so we have a good variety of trainers at our gym. But at any rate, the beauty about our gym is that we're a non-competitive gym, so we try and bring in anybody who wants to learn the sport. So if you've never done it before, or you have some experience, or you're interested in sparring, our gym is appropriate for you. So my adage is, if you want to learn how to box, I can teach you how to box. So if you don't want to learn how to box and you're not amenable to suggestion or training, it might be a little bit difficult, but anybody can learn how to box. So that's kind of our philosophy at Sweet Science. So I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I started as a fitness boxing at a gym in Tampa, Florida, and then when I moved to Portland in 2006, I found this gym and it came up for sale, got a partnership going, and then in 2010 I became the sole owner of the gym. And it's grown organically based on hard work and passion and serendipity and a lot of other stuff. So is anybody out there self-employed? No? One? So you got a business plan and you modify that business plan based on the environment and what works and how hard you want to work. And after 10 years, finally, it's my full-time job, so I'm kind of proud of that. Yeah. So Darrell is going to give us a little bit about his experience.
Man, I don't even know where to start, to be honest. I obviously don't do public speaking either, so bear with me. I guess I can just say I've always kind of been into boxing. It went back to like high school when just me and a bunch of friends are just like boxing in backyards, late night weekends, and just doing everything that your parents told you not to do. So that was part of that. And the school that I went to gave me a good avenue to continue learning and diving into that passion of boxing. They had a boxing club at Eastern Washington University, and that's where I really started taking to learning the sweet science, per se. And I was just very diligent on going in every time I had the free time just to learn and kind of critique myself. I don't know how many YouTube videos I watched. It's just a countless number. I mean, I still watch them too. And just from there, the current president of the club actually started seeing that I was in on such a regular basis, and he was actually on the outs of the club. And so he asked me and another fellow student if we'd be interested in taking over the club. So from then on out, I was the president of the Eastern Washington Boxing Club for 2.5 years, and then graduated, ended up down here in Portland, and I wasn't boxing. And for whatever reason, I was on the bus one day, and I was like, man, I miss boxing. I miss that grind.
There's that serendipity again, right?
Yeah, I just miss that grind. I miss, just putting in the work, knowing that I was getting better, and just learning more about myself and learning more about the technique and, the beauty that is the sport. And so I just started looking around for clubs and eventually found Sweet Science because it was only like 2 or 3 miles away from my house. So that helped. And so I started going to Laurie's gym and just kind of fell in love with like the atmosphere. It was really kind of like a low-key place where I can still learn. The people there were just amazing and just really fun to be around. And yeah, it just allowed me to grow and just continue that process on learning what I wanted to learn. And lo and behold, I ended up going so much there and
put him on payroll.
Yeah, pretty much tried to show that I did have some kind of experience and that I wanted to share that with other people in the class whenever I could. I wasn't trying to undermine Laurie by any means, but whenever I'm in a position to help somebody with something that I know that can help them further down the road, knowing that they've been showing up and putting in the work that I know I put in, it's that much more gratifying to me. And I want to say that's what Laurie kind of saw and why she brought me on. So here I am.
And I think that's the beauty of Sweet Science Boxing is there's plenty of boxing gyms in Portland. Many of them are competitive, and while we do have a light competitive component to our gym, it's an option instead of a requirement. There's a lot of gyms, boxing gyms specifically, that if you walk in the door, they want you to sign up for USA Boxing, they want you to compete, they want you to be on their team, and honestly, there's probably, 0.5% of the population that's qualified and ready to take on that responsibility. In our gym, we have a specific training path, so if you've never done it before, or you've trained at another gym, or you've been doing it like Darrell for X number of years, you're welcome there, and we have a class appropriate to your skill set. So most of the people who walk through that door have absolutely no skill set at all, and that's okay. So we offer an intro to boxing class for those people who, okay, I want to try this, I want to learn the skill set. I might find out that it's not for me, and that's perfectly okay because boxing's not for everybody. But like I said earlier, if you want to learn, we can teach you. You might not get great. You might turn the corner immediately. You may get bored of it. You may plateau, whatever. Those are all parts of the training. So we've set a legitimate training path. So you have the intro class. Next level is a rookie class. You're starting to get confidence. You're starting to learn skills. And then we have level 3, which is our boxing workout class, where 90% of our people reside, and that's your goal. And then if you want to get a little bit better, we have super boxing, we have defense and sparring, and that's just more of an advanced class. But 80%, 90% of our students are right there in the middle, and the energy level in the classes is super fun. You have, that newbie who's just getting their skill set dialed in. You got that person who does some private training or has competed before, and everybody comes together. So I think one of the beauties of our gym is that we're very diverse. Doesn't matter where you're from, what you want to do, what your goals are, you're welcome into our gym. So that has made us successful for 10 years. We don't do any, big advertising. We have a website. You can edit that out. We have a website that basically brings in all of our business, stickers, t-shirts, that kind of stuff. But most of the people come through our doors because they've heard of us from a friend, or like Will, he's come to one of our sparring events, and just kind of become part of the community and part of the family. So that's kind of our approach to boxing. Now, you might think, oh, boxing, it's violent. I'm going to get hit in the face. I don't want to get hit in the face. I don't want to get hurt. That's myth number one to overcome when you're coming to our gym, is that you don't have to get hit in the face, and we will teach you how not to get hit in the face. So that's kind of important. And if you've ever watched boxing as a sport, you'll see like when the boxers are in the ring and the ref says, defend yourself at all, or protect yourself at all times, that's basically where you start, protecting yourself at all times, in your stance, in your guard, how to defend yourself. Does it translate that if you're walking down the street and somebody attacks you, you could, punch them or whatever? Maybe. But the other side of that coin is what it teaches, your feet are your best defense. So you use your feet as much as you use your hands in the sport. So many components. I've been doing it for almost 20 years, and I'm still learning. I know when I make a mistake. I know when I got something dialed in that is fun. A lot of the stuff that we do in class might be just, kind of bullshit combinations, just based on, getting up that skill set, that muscle memory. Others are, legitimate, that you would see in the ring. So I think all of us on staff kind of watch boxing matches, maybe because we have a favorite fighter, or me personally, I like to get some ideas as far as training goes. I don't have any favorite fighters. These guys my staff can talk about, wins and losses and records and belts and all that kind of stuff, and I'm just like, whatever, I like the sport for the sake of the fitness that you get out of it and the longevity of the sport, and I don't really care about the winning and losing part. So, any questions thus far? Will?
To kind of tail on what you were just saying, do you have a favorite new fighter?
Favorite new fighter?
Yeah.
I would have to say off the bat, Terrence Crawford. And just for me, he's just nasty. Like he can switch stances, lefty, righty, and he can hurt you in both of them. He's slick. But the cool thing is he's just like one of the nicer guys, and he's from Omaha, Nebraska. What the hell comes out of Omaha, Nebraska besides the College World Series? Nothing really, that I know of at least. So,
Not to offend Omaha.
Yeah, no offense. But yeah, and he's just a lot of fun to watch, like really fun. But there's just a slew of people that are starting to come up that are just like tons of fun to watch. I mean, they're
Lomachenko.
Yeah, Lomachenko, Vasily Lomachenko. He's fighting in December against Guillermo Regendow, who's from Cuba, who I think if I got this correctly, defected from Cuba to box. And they're both undefeated, both left-handers, both really quick, really well, I guess, taught in movement. And I personally think it's going to be a great fight. So, but yeah, there's just a ton of fighters, and it just kind of depends on your own kind of, I guess, your character, which really makes you a fighter, and what kind of attracts you to other people. Like, oh man, I like this guy because he's really fast and he doesn't get hit a lot, or I like this guy because he's just kind of built like a tank. You know, just takes punches and just goes all out for it. And that's the cool thing about it, is because there's so many personalities, there's that many different types of fighting styles within boxing. Because with boxing, you bring in your personality and how you want to fight. So I think that's the cool thing about it. But I would definitely say Terrence Crawford right now is like one of my favorites for sure.
And as far as style goes, you see the guys that are in like the 125-pound weight class, like a featherweight or whatever that's called, lightweight. They're really fast, right? The guys are in the heavyweight. They're more precise, and they, pick their punches, and they hit a lot harder, and they move a little slower. So body style is very important, in the sport itself. At our gym, we try to pair up people who have similar body styles. Height is kind of important, and where they're at in their training curve. So everybody who comes into the gym gets the workout appropriate for their skill set. So we're not going to put, some 6-foot tall guy with some 5-foot tall woman, and neither one of them would have fun. So the goal, number one, when you walk through that door, is to have fun, get a good workout, and leave at the end of the day saying, yeah, I'm glad I'm here, If you don't, then we're not doing our job. So fun is basically rule number one when you walk through the door. Learning is rule number two, I suppose, because if you're there for a reason, right? You want to learn a sport, we'd be happy to teach you the sport. And since we have such a vast staff of trainers, everybody's got certain skill sets, things that they do better, classes that someone likes this trainer better than that trainer, so that's why we have a lot of variety, and I think that also drives people through the door because we do have a lot of variety. So, and as early as, this is 2017, 4 years ago, we only had 5 classes a week. Now we have, 15, 16 classes a week. So able to grow organically because we have the interest, different time frames, morning classes, afternoon classes, evening classes, trying to get everybody's, accommodate everybody's schedule. People in the service industry, people like to get up early, people don't like to get up early, weekend people, etc. So we're able to organically grow with the business needs, and that's my job. So these guys get everybody trained. I do some training as well, but my job is to keep the business flowing and the money coming in. That's the most fun part, is keeping the money coming in. So, so any other questions?
What drew you to boxing? Was there like a mentor or someone in your life that kind of introduced you to it, or do you see it fighting things like that?
Me personally?
Yeah, or both of you, really.
When I used to live in Massachusetts, I went to college in Boston, Massachusetts, and after I lived on the North Shore, and I can remember going to like fight nights with a group of people, and I think that was like in the Tyson era or whatever. I don't know what drew me to that particular thing. And then as far as boxing, I got started. I was a member of a big box gym when I lived in Tampa, Florida, and my sister was visiting me, and they were offering a kickboxing class. And I'm like, okay, we'll try that. And I kind of liked that. And the kickboxing class went away, and then they brought in an actual boxing trainer named Pete Fernandez, and he started leading actual boxing classes, and I was like, oh my God, this is great. I was like a 5-day-a-weeker, I was in with like the inside crowd. We'd go to people's houses and watch boxing, and there's just something about the sport, like you're using your whole body, and honestly, that was like almost 20 years ago, so the impetus is kind of murky at this point, but you just use your whole body, and it's very cerebral, and you have to concentrate. If your mind wanders to like, oh, I forgot to like turn off the oven or whatever before I came to class, all of a sudden what you're doing goes out the window. So it's really focused. So if you have problems with focus, it really forces you to focus, which I think is very helpful, especially in young adults and even kids, is to get them focused and concentrating on a skill set. And when you're there, you're ours. There's no Bluetooth, there's no phones, there's no running on a treadmill, putting your headphones on. Everybody is fully engaged when they're in that class. And I think that's what draws people to it. It's a friendship. There's been a few relationships that have come out of it. Some that I probably don't know about, but that's okay. And just super diverse group of people. And like I said, friendships have developed. And it's kind of weird. It's like, okay, this person is friends with this person. It's like, I had something to do with that, without even planning it. So But digressing back, after the big box gym thing kind of went away, my friend and I started training students at University of Tampa. So that's how I became an instructor. And teaching is kind of fun too. You know, you're looking at perspective and trying to get people better and sharing your knowledge. And that's what we're all really good at. I mean, Darrell's classes are really popular, and he's really good at like breaking down and taking that form and tweaking it and tweaking it and tweaking it, and just even the smallest amount of improvement is obvious when people come through the door. You know, it's like, yay, you know. And I have a personal thing. It's like I see somebody who's kind of new and awkward, and you know, keep giving them suggestions. And of course, you don't like want to get on their business all the time because that's just depressing. But yeah, but I'll see them like, there you go. You just turn that corner. You're getting the skill set without me having to remind you. You're moving your body, and that's what it's about. It's like moving your whole body. It's not just throwing punches with your shoulders or your hands. It's moving your whole body into it. So, you know, if you want, we can start doing some like little punch demonstrations for you, kind of to show you how we approach things. You guys cool with that? Okay, good. So Darrell's gonna hit, I'm gonna hold, because he looks more smooth than I do, and I'm just old and slow. So, and we have some gloves here, so if you guys want to try it, we're happy to teach you. When
We can probably do this bare hand, right?
yeah, I didn't bring any wraps.
Cool.
Usually we wrap our hands, and that's kind of part of the when people come through the doors, you know, we're socializing, we're wrapping our hands. Wrapping your hands is sort of like socks for your hands, because you don't want your hands to be bare in the gloves. They'll roll around, and there's sweat and all that stuff involved.
It
So
prevents glove burn, and it also gives you support around your wrists. I highly suggest it. Just
glove burn,
because-
that's good. I never thought of that.
No, literally, it sucks. Like, you get it all on your knuckles, and then, yeah, you know, if you ever, like, you know, reach into something, scuffed up your knuckles, and then it's like, I can't use my hand because it hurts to bend it. So,
So my bad, I didn't bring wraps, but I figured I didn't think we'd need them. But you do we do a little demonstration where you wrap your hands, and there's tons of ways to do it, and videos, YouTube, whatever. Eventually I'll put one on the website, but like I said earlier, we're all kind of like camera shy and fly under the radar type of people, which I think that's another thing that people like about our gym. It's kind of humble, and you know, you see some gyms and trainers and muscles and you know all their certifications and stuff, and you know, we're just like, we're doing this because we love it. And that's how everybody sort of become a instructor at the gym, and me included, is we came to the gym, we trained, we loved it, we had the desire, we wanted to be on staff, and that's pretty much, everyone starts as a volunteer, and right now we still have 4 volunteers on staff, which is great for me payroll-wise, but, you know, they do it because they love it, not because they want any kind of remuneration. They just love to teach, and they love the sport, and that's great, you know. So, so what we're going to do is kind of how we approach our training when you're new. And Matt, right here in the glasses and the black hat, he's one of our newer students, so he sort of can, like, you know, if you think we're talking crap, he can, you know, validate us, which is kind of pressure, but it's okay. We have some stickers here, and we have some schedules here, so if you want to pick one of those up, feel free. We're going to do what's called punching progression, and we take all of the punches in our arsenal and we just add to them. And so what I'm going to do is go all the way up to 8,
okay.
and then do duck duck at the end, okay?
Okay.
So I'll do a couple of sets of each punch. We'll add on. So punches have names and numbers, and we use those names and numbers interchangeably from a training perspective, because even though it's still a word, sometimes it's easier to yell at a number than the name of a punch. And some people, in their head, the punch number is important, or in their head, the punch name is important. So using them interchangeably is kind of important from a training standpoint. So I'm going to do both of those. I'm going to say the name of the punch and the number of the punch, and get an idea. So we'll do that, and then we'll sort of, you guys can ask questions about, you know, whys and wherefores when we're done with that, okay? So Dee's gonna put some gloves on. I'm gonna get my mitts on. These are called focus mitts. In our training classes, everybody's paired up, at least 80% of the class with somebody. You learn how to hold focus mitts as part of the workout as well, and it's just as much of a workout as throwing punches, and you're the one in charge. So when you're wearing focus mitts, you're sort of like a proxy trainer for your couple, as it were. All right, so we're gonna start with our left hand, and it's called a jab, and we're just gonna, is it okay if we just stand off here to the side? Okay. So the jab is coming off of our left side, and it's a straight punch. Okay, this is the most important punch in any boxer's arsenal. Once you perfect that jab, you know where your partner is. It's effective as a knockout punch. It's effective as an annoying punch. It's effective as not even landing it, but keeping it out there and letting your opponent know where you are. So Dee's gonna throw that jab straight out. So you're coming straight out from that shoulder. Chin, shoulder, elbow, wrist, fist, nice long line. Now when you throw a punch, if you're throwing it right, you're also creating some defense with that arm, so you can't penetrate. Again, always be defending. And right here, he's able to defend as his arm is up around his chin. Always protecting your face, all right? So that jab, and you want to snap it by giving it that little wrist flick. And what he's doing right now is in his guard, and that's his defense. His hands are up protecting his chin. His elbows are in protecting his rib cage. So if I throw a punch in his body, he can protect it. If I throw a punch in his head, he can protect it. That's your goal. Protect yourself at all times, okay? So that's a jab, and that's our number one punch. And it can be fast, and it can be hard. All right, so that's our jab. Our second punch is a cross. It's the same as a jab in the arm, as far as the arm is, but you're gonna pivot off that back foot to get all that power out of your hips. Power here, speed up here. So the more they can use that lower body to load up that punch, momentum, energy transfer, collision. 2. And that's our 2. Straight punch, cross. Okay, so you've heard of the term old 1-2. Boom, he's going to do that right now. Jab, cross. Good. So you can imagine if you use that punch, either one of those punches effectively, and you catch somebody at the wrong time, they're going to get knocked out. All right? I will probably say bam a lot tonight. That's kind of my thing. So it's the phonetics or whatever you call it. What do you call that? Onomatopoeia. So the next punch we're going to add on is our hook. It's coming off of our left side. It's punch number 3. So odd numbers on the left side, even numbers on the right side. For every left side, there's also equal right side punch. Good. All right, so I'm going to add a hook. All right, so a hook is what your arm looks like when you throw the punch. Hook, still got some guard up. Using the feet to throw the punch. Power's coming through the hip. Very powerful punch if you're throwing it right. You can throw a hook like that, or you can throw a hook like that. Power. Okay, so now he's going to put all 3 punches in. 1, 2, 3. Jab, cross, hook. So right there, 1, 2, 3. If you can land those 3 punches, you're doing well. All right. Next punch is an uppercut. It's punch number 4. It's coming off the back hand, the right hand. And when you throw that uppercut, the hand looks like what the punch sounds like. So it's coming up and under the chin. And number 4. In boxing, basically, you protect here to here, here to here. You don't have to worry about here, here, or here. So you're protecting that rectangle of your body at all times by throwing that punch, bringing it back to your face, and completing the punch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, jab, cross, hook, uppercut. There you go. Nice. Nice. All right. So after that, we're going to have that front uppercut. That front uppercut is really hard to throw singularly, but he's going to do it anyways. So it's up and under. Punch number 5. Nice. And you can tell mitts is a skill as well. I love doing mitts, quite honestly, more than punching. So This is fun for me. All right, so we're gonna put jab, cross, hook, uppercut all together. Uppercut, uppercut, nice. And one more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, back hook, number 6. Same as the front hook, but since you're coming off of that back leg, you gotta commit a little bit more to the angle of the punch. So if you hold it too tight to your body, you're not gonna land it. You wanna open it up. And you can kind of see when he's throwing this punch here, he's keeping this hand in his guard. So if this is his punch, nice and slow, this is his offense, this is his defense. So it's 50% offense, 50% defense, 50% right, 50% left. Moving through the axis of the body and keeping yourself centered over your pelvis. So I'll go back to that stance after we're done with the punches. I'll explain it now. I'll forget otherwise. So you want to have a nice 45-degree angle to your opponent, heel and toe in alignment, just outside of your shoulders, so you're nice and balanced. You're not too tippy. Your feet are too close together. Your shoulders are wider than your hips. If your feet are too far apart, you got nothing off that back. And if you're too square, big giant target. So this is your compromise, 45-degree angle. Okay? Last 2 punches are called rips. They're designed to come up and under the rib cage. If you've ever had one landed on your body, they hurt. Okay? And they're 2 body shots, so you want to come low under the punch. So let's do 7, 8 together. 7 is left, 8 is right. My favorite punch. Okay, so now we're going to put all 8 punches together. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Go. So, jab, cross, hook, uppercut, uppercut, hook, rip, rip. And that's done from a power perspective. Now he's going to do it as a speed perspective, right? That's too fun. Ready? Go. There you go. Good. I'm kind of blinded by that light, but that's okay. So you can move those. The way the cadence of the punch occurs is every punch combination has a different sort of rhythm to it. So a 4-punch combination may have a different rhythm than an 8-punch combination. The important part about that is when do you breathe, right? You breathe, exhale on the exertion, inhale on the movement. So if you have a break, you take the inhale. You don't want to hold your breath. You want to exhale on the exertion. So me personally, I'm a loud breather when I work out, but you want to make sure that you're breathing and not holding your breath. I will know if you're holding your breath, okay? So what we're going to do is add 2 more components to the drill, and that's ducking. And you duck to avoid a counter punch coming at your head, which is generally a hook. And you duck toward the source of the aggression. So you don't duck away from it, you duck toward it so you can set up a counter punch. So I'm going to throw my left hook at Darrell, he's going to duck to the right, and roll under that punch. So you want to keep everything up. You don't want to get your chin in front of your front knee. Eyes on your opponent or your opponent's shoulders at all times so you know where the punch is coming from. If I throw my right hook, he's going to roll to the left. So duck, roll, bob, weave, all interchangeable terminology. So ducking to the right, ducking to the left. Okay? So what we're going to do is put all 8 together, 2 ducks, and that is everything in kind of in the repertoire. Ready? Good. So the other thing when you're boxing is you want to keep that upper body moving at all times, making yourself a moving target. So if I'm throwing a jab at Darrell, he can slip to the outside of the punch and also at the same time set up a counter punch. So basically, boxing is kind of evil in that you're trying to take advantage of somebody's bad decision. Alright, so you're always looking for an opportunity or advantage. So I'm going to put a few punch combinations together that are going to include offense, offense, defense, counter punch. So the first punch combination is going to be a jab cross, duck to the right, come back with a 4, which is our right uppercut. Okay? sets up the power behind the counter punch. Okay, all right? Now we're gonna do it from the other side. So this time he's gonna lead in with his cross, throw his hook, duck to the left, and come back with his left uppercut. When you lead with your back punch, you have to close the gap somehow. Generally, you need to step in with that front foot to close the gap so that you're not reaching for the punch. So it's 2, 3, duck, 5. There you go. So it's using your body to your advantage, moving as quickly as possible from offense to defense, protecting your face, protecting your body, and just getting on with it. So what we do is take all those 8 punches, the 2 movements, the slipping, the ducking, and put them into random punch combinations. So, I don't know, do you want me to do some more punch combinations? You guys want to try it? Any questions? What? Yeah?
Question.
Yeah?
So what's the target of the punches? Your face?
Yes. Okay, good question. So, well, the target is basically here to here, here to here. So below the belt, nope. Back of the head, nope. Behind the kidneys, nope. So you're responsible for protecting that square footage, and the punches all move from that square footage, so you can get from here to here as quickly as possible. So the faster you are throwing the punch, the faster you are defense. Okay? So generally when we train, we just make up punch combinations and drill them and drill them and drill them, and in that 3-minute round, you might get some of them right, you might get some of it wrong, you might be just like, I can't handle this, let's try something else. But his style is to take a round, maybe do 4 punches, next round, add another 4 or 5 punches, next round, throw in some movement. So at the end of that round, you may have 15 punches in a row with some movement in between. Mine is more like 5 or 6 punch combinations with some movement in between. My favorite punch combination, 1, 2, 5, 2, slip, slip, 7. Yeah. Okay, so my favorite punch combination is jab, cross, uppercut, cross, slip, slip, rip. So that second slip is setting up that counter punch to the body. So Darrell's going to do that right now. There you go, nice. So anything that we do in a class from this kind of perspective can also translate into the ring. When you're in the ring, it's a whole different ball game, because where we're doing not to beat them up, where we're doing cross punching, left mitt to left glove, right mitt to right glove. In sparring, you're defending same side. So I will put these gloves on and give you an idea of what that looks like. So when we spar, mouth guards, headgear requirement, safety first, always. Liability insurance is pretty expensive for a boxing gym, as you can imagine, so we try to make sure that no one goes out there hurt, and people get hurt. There have been broken noses, but unintentional. Unintentional. Sometimes people just get a little bit crazy. We have a few bleeders as well.
You just have to say injuries in any sport is inevitable.
Right.
Just a blanket statement. So not just making it seem like it's only boxing where this happens.
Right. Well, I went to the eye doctor a couple weeks ago, and he said, "What are you doing? I want to get a boxing gym." He's like, "Oh, your eyes are pretty good for a boxer." I'm like, "That's because I don't take a lot of shots in the head. You know, I protect myself, and I know better." So, so if I was throwing those same punches at Darrell, when I throw a jab, he's going to defend on his right side. So he has a counter punch open off of that right side. So if I throw a jab, he can throw that jab right back. So you want to look again for your opportunities. Okay, so if he's throwing a jab back, I'm also defending that jab, which is with a block or a parry. So I'm going to throw 1-2, and you're going to throw 1-2 back. Okay. So when he blocks like that, that's another way to block the punch. You put the glove against your head, you absorb the punch. That's a little bit more risky because you're actually taking it to the head. But again, you want to protect yourself at all times. If Darrell couldn't duck a hook coming at his head, he would block the hook instead. Okay, so elbow down, fist up, glove against your head so you're not hitting your own self. Okay, so again, that's why you keep your hands up and shoot that hand right up into your temple. Okay, I personally am too slow when I spar, and I don't really do it much anymore to duck. So my preferred way was always blocking. Okay, again, he's got his glasses on, nice and light here. Okay, we don't follow through and try to do knockouts. So we teach that style on pulling your punches and not hitting at 100% when we're working on sparring so nobody goes out of there injured. So we block the hooks, we block the straight punches, we block the body shots. You have a couple of options. Bam, right there. To block the body shots, you have a couple options. Mostly just block with that elbow and kind of roll with the punch, roll toward that center point. Okay. But you can also stuff the punch. It's a bit more of a risk because if you miss that stuff, you can come right up and hit your own self in the chin, and that's not fun. But also the style of blocking. So when we spar, back and forth, no one's telling you what to do. You're depending on your training that if Darrell's throwing a jab at my face, I'm either going to get out of the way, I'm going to slip it, I'm going to parry it, some way defend that punch, and then at the same time get my own counter punch back. So it's a very methodical sport, not just running, not just biking, not just swimming. It's side to side, front and back. You're using all the planes of your body, up and down, left and right, and then twisted on that axis. So really, it's a full body workout with this is how much gear you need. So it's really low cost entry. You can spend $30 on a pair of gloves, you can spend $130 on a pair of gloves, but other than regular gym clothes, it's super easy to enter. Yeah, okay? So, questions? Here, we'll get Matt first.
When you're in the ring, do you find yourself trying to like kind of crack the code of like what combination to throw on the other person? Like,
Better answer.
Yes. With boxing, it literally is just violent chess match.
okay.
And
Opportunities.
yeah, for the lack of a better way of explaining it, because when you're going in there, a lot of people go in there head hunting, which means you're always going for the head. So a lot of times you find people being a little bit more protective on letting their hands go, which means just not letting them go as much, throwing punches, and then keeping them right here, nice and tight, close to their chin. So then, if you're a headhunter yourself, where else can you go? So now, this is like one of the reasons why I love it so much, is because now you have to think, where else is my punch available to land? So now you have to start thinking about, okay, what combos can I apply to this situation if my opponent always wants to keep their hands up, or if they always want to keep their hands down, or vice versa, or one hand is up, one hand is down, other hand is up, other hand is down. It's all those little things that come into play. It's always just kind of trying to think one step ahead of your partner or of your opponent. Really.
Well, and that being said, if you go to the body, you have to remember that when you go to the body of your opponent, your head is all of a sudden a major target. So if you do decide to go to the body, you have to have an exit plan. So if I try to go to Darrell's body and I drop this hand right here, he's got so many ways that he can knock me out, which is not preferred. So I want to get that body shot off as soon as I can and get out of range. So where we said earlier that your feet are your best defense, you're throwing punches, blah, blah, blah. If you got nothing, you back away, all right? And a lot of people, when they first start sparring, think that, Darrell's throwing punches at me, and I have to stand there and take them. If I don't have a shot, I'm just going to get out, change my focus, change my position in the ring, so that, again, you're always trying to exploit the other person's disadvantage or your own advantage. So if I got no advantage, I'm not going to sit there and get beat up. I'm going to try and step back, assess the situation, which of course is a microsecond, not a minute, to figure out what you need to do. So it's definitely a thinking person's sport. Not that any sport isn't, but this is our sport, so we're a little bit biased. And I don't do anything else. I can't even imagine like going to a gym and walking on the treadmill and going over and doing some weights, because to me that would be boring. So, you know, there's a reason why I've been doing it for such a long time. But yeah, good question. And Matt, we'll get you next, Will.
I was kind of curious to know this, but are there any other punches above 7s and 8s?
Not that we've made up yet. There's overhand.
Yeah, those are typically your basic punches. But with each basic punch, you can throw a variance on them to where they don't necessarily have numbers. It's just a different way to throw it.
So like an overhand cross, if Darrell wants to land an overhead cross on me, it's designed to catch me on the top of the temple and kind of drop my head down. So if I drop down, he has now a second punch that he can land, which is generally an uppercut or a rip, okay? So if he lands that overhand cross to my head, boom, and then he comes with that uppercut, the chances of me getting stunned by this and then being able to defend that are lesser. So that's a knockout punch combination, okay? Now, that's not what we do at Sweet Science Boxing, but if you go ahead and watch boxing and you see this coming over the top like that, that's called an overhand right, and that's a very effective knockout punch because you're getting your partner to drop their hand and catching them right on the side of the sweet spot, boom, and knocking them out. So, yes, variations on a theme, for sure.
And then on top of that, it's always what's given to you. And that's what kind of drives the variation of the punch. You know, if my straight 2 causes them to bring their hands up like so, now it's just like, okay, I see that you react this way when I throw the straight 2, so if I throw in a little bit of an angle with my 2, or even maybe a hook off of it, I've created an opening off of the same movement that you thought I was going to throw. So it just kind of goes back to the whole chest thing.
Right, and like throwing multiple punches, like if I threw lots of jabs at Darrell, I'm trying to figure out what I can get away with. Maybe I'm getting tired, maybe I'm being annoying, boom, okay? So, law of averages, one of them you're gonna land, right? So if you watch boxing and they throw 565 punches, but they only land 100, then they're maybe putting more effort into those punches that aren't landing. So you really wanna pick your punches. I went to a boxing gym in London when I was on vacation there this summer, and they have kind of the same philosophy that we do, but they're a more competitive gym. But their whole thing was called bunches of punches, put punches together, so not just depend on that jab, throw a bunch of punches, move around, figure out what you can land and what you're good at. I like that rip because I'm short and I'm stocky and I got that power behind my hips that I can land that punch, right? If you got nice long arms, take advantage of that and work those straight punches. So everybody's body style kind of dictates what their strength is going to be. Okay? Well,
2 questions now. What if you're got really stumpy
T-Rex arms?
Yeah,
Like this?
but you're really tall, you have a long body, like hypothetically. What would your style be?
Not boxing.
Not boxing.
Not swimming either. No, we can work with that. I mean, you just work with what you got. So if your jab hand is just out here instead of out here, but that's the thing about a jab. I can throw a jab like that, right? Or I can throw a jab like that. It's the same punch, but I've employed everything on my body to make another 8 inches. Boom, boom. Okay, so you use that entire body. Okay, so if my foot is way back here, that 2 is not going to mean anything. If I step into that 2 and follow through, I'm going to get more out of that punch. And it's all about the hooks, using that whole body, the uppercuts, using that whole body. So figuring out how to keep your arms from getting tired, because they will, because do we really walk around life like this? No. So keeping everything nice and loose. You're not like, oh, like a lot of people come in and their shoulders are up around their ears like this and they're throwing like that. More relaxed you can be, the more effective you will be. So coordinating the breath, coordinating the movement, getting your whole body to work for you. Now, that being said, that doesn't come instantaneously. Some people struggle with it. Some people pick it up right away. I have some people that come in my intro class and like, are you sure you've never done this before? Because you're natural. So all of us with our relative X number of years experience, or like 40 years experience, 50 years experience with all of our trainers, we're pretty good at what we do. Yeah.
I think on top of your question and Laurie's answer, it all just kind of depends on what you bring to the table. Because there are some people that are built a certain way that fight the complete opposite, you know, and that's something that as a trainer you kind of have to notice and not try to force them to fight in a way that, you know, the fighter isn't comfortable with. There's one boxer out there, Paul Williams. He was a lighter fighter, very tall, very long reach, but in all of his fights, it just seemed like he was just brawling, you know, just
Finesse.
down.
Finesse is super important. I mean, lots of us don't have it, but it will come with time. You can kill a punch, or you can finesse that punch and be more relaxed, and you'll get way more effectiveness out of that punch if you're relaxed and you finesse it instead of just like bam, 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 bam. You know, and there's slapping that goes on and all kinds of stuff. But landing the punch, that's actually a good segue. You land the punch dead on. So if there was a line in front of this glove, that's your target. So that's where you want to land that maximum impact using the equipment at your disposal effectively. So if I throw a punch like that, terrible. Or I throw a punch like that. And we have one student that throws hooks like that, and I try to correct her, and she doesn't seem to want to change, but that's bad too. If you bend your wrist like that, you're going to start feeling that. So proper technique is so important. That won't, if you have bad technique, you're going to get hurt, and that injury turns chronic, and then you're not going to love it anymore. So proper technique, quality over quantity, good punches over just wailing the shit out of things is way more important. And there are plenty of people who just want to wail the shit out of things. So if they want to, they will.
And it's totally fine.
Most of the time.
What's up with the bouncing? You know, like everybody's always bouncing around. Why is that?
Really, well.
It's
You
kind of
really
like you're
gotta-
developing a rhythm.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of it is the rhythm, and it just allows you to stay a little bit
Fluid.
more, fluid and flexible with your movements.
But you don't want to bounce to the point that if you're mid-bounce and you get hit, you're going to lose your feet. So you want to have a foundation. And that's why the first thing we do is we teach that foundation, because if you don't have a good foundation, nothing else is going to work. I can stand here like this and throw punches all day long, and I don't even know how to demonstrate it wrong anymore, to be honest with you. But if I do it right, my energy is used efficiently as opposed to wasted. Okay, so you want to use your energy efficiently to create that collision. It's physics. It's just, that's probably why it's called sweet science, because it is physics. So
And
that's how I look at it, at least.
yeah, and there's definitely a difference between just a nice light bounce
Right,
to
right.
where you can stop on a dime
Right.
and then be able to pivot, throw into your punches versus
See, and he can't even do it wrong either, you know? So, yeah, there's a lot of people who just get this like nervous sort of like bunny hop when they're training, and it's just like settle it
and
down.
a lot of that is nerves. A lot of first comers do have a little bit more jitteriness about them and do find themselves bouncing a little bit more than regular. And you know, it just comes with experience. Just getting a little bit more comfortable in your own skin, knowing that, you know, you're punching something or someone. You know, not everybody's used to that. You know, so it just kind of gradually evolves into that light bounce from, you know, the jittery hoppiness of things.
Well, and the way I look at it is, you know, whether you're going to get really good or you're going to get marginally good or you're going to start sparring, whatever your interest is, you're there. I mean, you're there learning a new sport. You're there learning a new sport from us. That's half the battle. If you have fun, you learn something new, you're amenable to suggestion, perfect student, right?
I noticed when you guys throw your punches, your feet almost follow the path. Is that a thing, or am I just?
The feet create the path.
Yeah, like when you're like punching, like it's like you are actually mimicking like your with your back foot, you're like pointing.
Well, and it's toe to shoulder. So if I'm just throwing a punch like that, I have a lot less power coming out of it.
Yeah.
If I throw that punch by rotating into my hip, it's a trajectory from my toe. And I like to use the analogy that there's a rubber band from my elbow to my heel. So when my heel moves, it's like a game of mousetrap, okay? So that drives the punch. So it is very methodical, it's very mechanical. Most people don't realize how mechanical their bodies are. And you can get as equally strong on your left side as your right side. I'm a right-handed person, but I can also be a southpaw if I need to. So being able to use both sides of your body efficiently is one of the benefits of boxing, because as a right-handed person, what's this? This is your left hand. You don't use it for much of anything. In boxing, you're forced to use it equally. So it does get stronger, for sure. Anybody else? Questions? Anybody want to try? Will's the only one?
Yeah.
Come on. Anybody else? You want to try? Matt, okay. Okay. Now, why don't we give some of the ladies a chance first, okay? So you guys come up and get some mitts on.
Preference, gloves, mitts.
They're going to get mitts. They're going to get gloves. You're going to hit. We're going to hold.
I can't remember. My short-term memory sucks.
Well, that's
so
all right. We're just going to go up the, get some of my sweat in there. Good. Here, you can take the big ones. I'll take the little ones. Just push it all the way in. There you go. Okay, so when you have the gloves on, it kind of forces you to have your hands in a fist. But that being said, yeah. Well, that's you're really supposed to do that. But what you don't want to do is stand in your boxing stance and have your hands like this. Oh, because that just radiates all the way up your shoulders. So you want to be relatively relaxed. The shape of the glove will force you to make a fist. So you relax and then you make a fist at point of impact. So you only tense up when you need to. Okay? Both lefty, both righties. Lefty?
Righty.
Okay. So first thing you're going to do is get in your stance, and that's going to have your left foot forward. And you can be a Will strainer and Braden, and I'll be Braden's trainer. So I'm just going to stand in front of you, and you're just going to mimic the way I'm standing, okay? So become my shadow, all right?
Okay.
Good. Now I'm going to face you. So my left toe and your right toe, your right toe and your left toe and my right toe, they're lined up. So we're about 18 inches apart. That's how we'll be partners, okay? So that first punch, I'm going to put our hands up right there, okay? So you want to have those palms facing together, and that little wrist flick that comes out of the punch adds just a little bit more power and speed to your punch. So every little bit of power that you can generate is how you throw those punches. Okay?
And when you're doing focus mitts, you're really focusing on the dot that's on the mitt.
Right.
Hence
Look at the dot.
focus.
Yeah. It's bad when you're a mitt person when you start getting hit like that, because it just takes your wrist behind you, so you aim for the dot. So Braden and Will are going to throw those jabs. Okay? Straight out. There you go. There you go. Nice straight arms. I'm going to... Good. There you go.
I'm good.
That's a hazard.
2 beers right
there. Alright, so straight out, good. Good. So what I want you to do is turn your hand over like you're holding a bucket. Okay? That's
Ideally,
proper
with the
jab.
punches
Okay,
too,
jab.
you want to try to
There you go.
land those first 2 big knuckles.
Okay.
There you go.
And your punches will come straight
bring your
out.
hand
Almost
right
just like
back
you're
to
doing a
your
close
face.
push-up.
Alright, now
Okay.
cross.
Because
Same
again,
thing.
you're trying to take away
Straight
that
up.
distance in between.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine.
There you go. Good. Now, engage
go.
that back hip. Okay. There you go. Good.
That's it.
Good. Try not to bring your hand behind you like an archer. Bring it right back here. There you go. Nice. See, now normally I wouldn't be with someone as tall as Braden, because I'm short and she's tall, and we're completely different body styles. But as a trainer, we know how to adapt to everybody. Okay? So put those 2 punches together, jab, cross. Jab. There you go. I'm gonna have you
The
jab for
important
just
thing
a
about
sec.
this one now is
Touch,
when
so
you do
I'm
it,
not
make sure
reacting to the shaker. There you go.
because that's what's going to help you get that extra distance. distance.
Bring everything back. There you go.
Okay.
One.
And at the same time, you still want to keep it nice and tight.
Excellent. Okay. So the
Okay.
next punch is going to be your left hook. You're going to pivot on that front toe. Bring that hand in that hook position. And back into your ready position. Okay. We're just
I know I'm
gonna
like
do it
you.
all together.
I'm all like this. Like sorry.
Jab. Cross. There you go. Good job. Jab. Cross. Hook. Jab. Cross. Good. Hook. Good.
Now I guess we're following
Reset.
them. So you're going to do your hook.
Okay? So you just want to reset. Now let's just
Is when you throw that
set
in.
one, because we're going to run into each other here. All right, so
His
the
hand
next
is
punch
staying
is
up by
here.
your chin.
Our
Oh,
uppercut.
okay.
So
So
then
then,
shift
as
over
you're
to
pulling
that
back that
foot.
too, all you're
Pivot,
doing is
come
you're
all
rolling
the way
back.
back.
Pivot
Okay.
that. Yep.
Yep.
And bring
Move
it
that
down.
toe towards the
Okay.
center.
Okay. So just
There you
work
go.
on 2,
Good.
3
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So try it alone.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Nice.
Try to
We're
bring that
going to put
back up.
all four
Hold
punches
your elbow.
together.
Yep.
Whatever
Yeah,
you
okay.
get, that punch is
Just like
on your
flat?
wrist. Just
Yep.
like that. Okay. Jab one. Cross
There you
two.
go.
Three. Uppercut. Good. Nice.
Okay.
Good. Do it again.
For the symmetry. The next one is going to be your 6.
On that,
So
we're
I'm going to
just
throw you
gonna
off.
have you
Okay, okay.
Alright,
just a little
so
bit more like that.
2,
Okay, so that's a karate punch.
3.
That's a boxing punch.
And now it's going to be your 6, which is your
Next
back
punch
side.
I'm gonna add is that
Okay.
front uppercut.
There you go.
Up and up.
So 2, 3,
Yep,
6.
okay. So we're gonna put all 5. 1,
I'm like pushing myself up.
No, that's really fun.
5.
Okay.
Okay, so up through the center point on that uppercut. So you're aiming
So
for
the
my
big
chin.
thing
Yeah, one.
that's
How do I do
really
that?
important
The
is when
last
you're throwing
one?
your power punches is that your
Okay.
pivot.
Okay.
Okay?
And using
That
that
pivot is what helps shift your weight onto something
Jab
safe.
one.
So
Okay.
if you're in a good
Cross.
stance,
Hook
you're
three.
shifting your weight to your front
Uppercut
foot.
4. Uppercut
Okay,
5.
so
There
yeah,
you
it's
go.
weird. I'm like when I pivot,
You
I'm
have that relative,
okay, okay.
So
get
that
that
way you
rotation
made
going
it
and you
just
lose
big.
balance, so you're
Okay.
really gonna drive
Okay.
through those
Okay.
feet. Okay? One.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I feel that. Like it's definitely. Yeah, okay.
Now,
There you go.
the
Ready?
last 2 punches,
Dance.
which are your
Reset.
uppercuts.
Okay.
Jab one.
My analogy
Cross two.
is,
Hook three. Uppercut
have you
four.
ever been a Street Fighter?
Uppercut five. Hook
Yeah,
six.
yeah, yes.
So, Ken and Ryu.
There you go.
Yeah,
Got some
It
power.
gives you a good image.
Yeah, yeah.
That's exactly how you want to throw your uppercut. You
Okay.
don't necessarily
Anybody else wanna
have to
try?
be as exaggerated.
Right.
It doesn't have
Right.
it's that same kind of motion.
We'll get to you next, pal.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's like, right?
Good job.
Okay, alright, okay. Yeah.
So we'll start with this one.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, slightly sweaty, but
All
it's
right.
okay.
A little bit tighter, okay?
Okay.
There you go. Good.
We got boots and a dress on, so we should be quiet.
Okay. This side. Good.
Will Madden.
Perfect.
There you go.
There you go.
That's awesome. Like it's so weird because like
Cathartic,
when
isn't it?
when you actually connect, like it's a complete difference than when you're like like it feels.
And the funny thing is, the tension that you get from different athletes, like
Yeah.
it's totally different from hitting mitts than it is to hitting a bag than it is to actually hitting the flesh.
Right, right.
So it's all those different densities inside whatever you're hitting
Is there
that
any
creates
like
a different
rotation?
type of
Yeah.
So, no, that's awesome. That's great.
That's super
I'm glad
cool.
someone got the
Okay,
street
so we're
fighter.
gonna start.
No, the street fight. I wanted to like pull that in. I was like, cause you guys were doing all the combos, and I was like, combos. Oh my god, that's like me in the '90s.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I tried that in class every once in a while. Like, yeah, no.
Okay, so then, what was your favorite Street Fighter character? What did you play?
I'm kind of
I
doing one of
really
these, like a
like-
lunge. Is that okay, or should I try to?
Oh, that's like a wild one. That's like.
Well, I just sit in the corner and I just shock.
Yeah, but that's hard. You can't, there's no way around that. That's like, yeah.
You know, and then I can't remember the guy that's put the fire. I can't remember his name right now.
What's hitting? Yoga Flame. Dalcine.
There you go.
Yes, yes. Mine was Chun Li who would like do the upside down.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to take Will's place, Matt?
Okay, what else? Yeah.
Other than that, that's pretty much all the punches. All they are is body moves.
Okay.
So when you're going, so more so, you're aiming for this part.
Okay, so I'm gonna come.
Yep.
Is this like how far do you go out? Like, do you load up? Do you load up like this, or do you actually bring it?
It's better to keep everything inside. When you
Okay.
think about rotating and adding in power and speed to punches,
It's hard. Like I'm not used to like using my left hand. Like you know, like when you pretend to like you're always just like this.
It takes time, but it's something that you definitely develop.
I've actually never worn boxing gloves. Ever. My whole life. They're huge.
I actually grew up with boxing my sister.
Oh, so you lost a lot. Well,
no, it's very interesting. Being able to use both.
yeah. And it's also interesting to have to like when I was a kid, like my dad was a wrestler in college or whatever, and so it was always like this. So it's like the idea of just like this is all you can do. You can't grab, you can't like. Oh, that was another thing I wanted to
Anybody
ask.
else give me a chance?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Talking about Street Fighter. So that last
Questions?
Okay.
Okay. Wait, is it more like that or like?
Either one.
Yeah, I seem like a lot way later than I do using the gym.
Like that.
Yeah, these are like definitely like
It's really just depending on what you're used to.
Okay.
So jab one, cross two, hook three, uppercut four, uppercut five, hook six. So try to keep everything tucked. Okay. Jab one, cross two, hook three, uppercut four, uppercut five. There you go. One more. Three, good. 4, 5, 6. And see what you did? You kind of tapped those gloves.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. And I don't have to type. Okay. And that just signifies that it's right there in front of your face.
Yeah.
And you're ready to throw a punch and defend the punch. Cool. Good job. Anybody else?
Thank you, everybody, so much for coming to the Curiosity Club. And this is it for the year. And we're super, super stoked to have done this. Thank you, everyone. Whoever watched, everyone who ever paid attention, everyone that came to a meeting, every speaker that ever spoke. Thank you to Will and Janita and Matt for doing this with me all those years. And it's really all of us, and it shouldn't just be me talking alone. So I love you guys so much, and thank you for doing this. 7 years. It's amazing. You guys, I love you guys. They're all behind the camera, so you can't see them, but I love them so much. Okay, finale.